camera pop up, and then I'll do the you should be already on stage. Okay. Let people come in. I'll share it out. Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's Frankie J, host of Frankie J Raw here. And with me again for the 14th, I think, or 15th consecutive time is the one and only T.O. He's going to come up to video now, but we have a really good show for you. Make sure you hang out to the end. We have a couple announcements. Hey, T.O., welcome back for the real good argument of why do school lunches suck. Yeah, I can. You're good.
I'm good. I got it now.
Yeah. Are you alive?
Yeah, internet's running a little weird here. I'm good. I'm excited for today's topic, school lunch.
Why do they suck?
It's been a while.
Well, it's funny because there are really a lot of facts around it, and there are committees and people out there that do believe that school lunch is good, the quality, the taste, the healthiness, and I would have to disagree on all those. And I have my reasons why. I had the fortunate luck, well, not really luck, experience of attending a school district my entire life, the same one, and then 20 years later working for the very same school district, at one point working out of the commissary where they prepare the food. So I, throughout the years, have seen the differences in food quality, appearance, portion size, taste, all that junk. Now you went to a different school district, a little, I don't want to say it, but a little more high class of a school district versus a town. We live next door to each other, but you had the privilege of going to a pinkies up kind of school. How was their school lunch when you were growing up, if you recall?
Pretty good. I think I usually brought a lunch, to be honest, as a kid, but the school lunch was pretty good. I remember the good French fries. the
That you
I
like
wouldn't
the
call it
soggy fries?
nutritious. Yeah, I do. I like the Mexican pizza. We had a lot of good tasting foods. Was it nutritious to say? I don't think so. I don't
Well,
remember fruits or vegetables.
well, we will both agree that back 25, 30 years ago, school lunch, there was no real requirements for health. There was no like people hell bent on making sure the school lunch was calorie counted. It wasn't like that. So what they served back then to what they serve now, that's no comparison, I guess. When you did have to eat school lunch, it wasn't bad. You enjoyed it. It tasted good. You had your favorite items, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I did.
As did I. What was your favorite? I got it. Besides soggy French fries and Mexican
Well, they
pizza.
weren't soggy.
Oh,
No, they were
you got
good.
them crispy right out of the fryer, huh?
Yeah, and they had good hot sauce. What you could dip them in too. Yeah, those were my
You're
favorite.
not a
Those French
mayo, a
fries.
fry mayo dipper.
No, nope.
That's a Buffalo thing, right?
I dip them in my frosty or something or
See, I
vanilla
see. I can't do
shake.
that. Salt and yeah. Well, the salt and yeah, that works technically,
Yeah.
like vinegar with watermelon, I guess. But for me, I wasn't privileged enough, and I don't want to say that my mom didn't want to pack me a lunch every day, but it was expensive at that time. So, to buy the lunch meats, the bread, the
Mm-hmm.
bags to put the stuff in. It was all cost, and we qualified for free lunch. I mean, not free lunch. Well, it was free lunch for a while, and then they raised it to a quarter. And so I was always forced, unfortunately, to eat school lunch. And for me, I don't know if I grew to like it because that was all I had available, but I had my favorites like turkey pieces and gravy over rice and mashed potatoes. That was like the day I made sure to get up out of bed and go to school. And it was a good portion. I mean, it would bend the foam, the foam trays.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Now the foam trays actually bend up because there's nothing on them. So I've seen, and they used to actually make the turkey, boil it in water,
Mm-hmm.
stock, make the gravy. Now everything is powder and the turkey's pre-cooked. They just slice it and chunk it.
Sure.
Everything's instant and considered healthy. I see. I've seen it change throughout the years. Hey, Lee, welcome to the room. But where I went to school, the turkey pieces and gravy over rice, or not even rice. They don't even serve rice anymore. Over the mashed potatoes now is nothing like it was 30 years ago at all. Not even
No.
close. Not even remotely close. I wouldn't order it. I mean, I wouldn't eat it even when I worked there, and that was my favorite dish.
Yeah, I saw a survey where they interviewed a bunch of grammar school kids, and they were asking them about foods, and you just notice how out of touch the kids were with food. The kids were surprised that the chicken drumsticks had bones in them. It was just shocking stuff. They were just
Well,
so out of touch with what food is because they're so used to getting it out of a box or a can or something like that. It's sad. In other countries, they eat way better school lunches. They're more healthy. You know who the first country was to offer free school lunch? See, because you said you had free. I had to pay for my school lunches growing up.
well, it depended on your family's income if you were to qualify or not. But to kind of finish up your point there about, you know, the kids in lunch, there's actually other components to it as well. When I was a kid going to school, it was I don't know, it was sort of embarrassing to get school lunch because most people
Hmm.
that got school lunch had parents that didn't want to pack them lunch, didn't care that way, didn't have the money or didn't qualify for the free lunch, whatever, or they had to pay only 50 cents or nothing. So school lunch there's a mental component too, where kids don't want to stand in that lunch line forever and wait for lunch, less time with their friends, whatever. There's all kinds of components, and if they're stuck eating school lunch that day and there's nothing on the menu they like that day or ever, they're not eating. So there's
Yeah.
about 70%. I researched this 70% of kids that do not participate in school lunch because of those. It doesn't taste
Hmm.
good. You don't get a lot as a portion. It doesn't taste, it's just everything about it sucks. It's cold, it's not hot, stuff like that.
Yep. I read that 4 kids in on average in every class are hungry and unnourished, and they count on those school lunches as their only meal,
Well,
which is another bad thing because when you're hungry in school, you can't think, you can't your behavior is off, and you're more likely to fail. So,
well, for me, growing up, I was told breakfast was the most important and lunch was important as well. If you're serving a healthy menu to a young clientele in this case, and it's healthy, a lot of the healthier foods don't have a lot of flavor. They just don't. They're
mhm.
bland, they're boring, they're not good, whereas adults can get past that a little easier than that of a kid. kids want it to taste good and be greasy and flavorful, and you know everything's baked in an oven now too, even French fries. So to a kid, they're used to seeing French fries come from McDonald's or somewhere else, and they're getting shaken out of a fryer or salted, and that's what they're getting out of school. And then they go to school and they get these semi-crispy, out of an oven, limp, no flavor fries. They don't even serve salt in the schools, so they're not able to make the food mimical, even to replicate what they get outside.
Yeah, we do. I mean, it just has to be healthier. It just has to be a healthier option than these fried foods, these foods out of the boxes. It just has
Yeah,
to
but
be.
that's at home. At school, they
If they
bake
even eat at home.
everything. They are serving everything with low calories to a certain standard, government wise. They are to follow these guidelines. So the food in school
Okay.
is actually healthier than what they're probably getting at home. But that's where the disconnect is, because the kids aren't going to like it if it doesn't taste like it's from home. At least that's for me. I
I
don't know.
If they're hungry enough, they're going to eat it.
Well,
I've seen kids go up to those stations that have diced tomatoes, and they keep going up, and kids asking for salad. I feel like they can adapt very well, and if you put the healthy choices in front of them, they're going to eat it.
there's also kids that grew up where they had no food in the fridge at all,
Hmm.
and they would eat anything because they got to that point where their bodies started speaking for them, saying, "If I don't eat this, I'll die." Thank God I've never
Yeah.
gotten to that point, but I can only imagine.
Well, those are the stories I hear because my wife actually does teach, but she's in inner city, and most of them count on that school meal as
That's the
their
only meal
only
they'll
meal.
get.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only meal they'll get that day, and they know that. So it is a lot of,
Hmm.
and probably you could say in the inner city, the percentages of kids that get school lunch are probably close to 100%, if not, maybe like 90 even percentage of kids get the school
Hmm.
lunch. So,
Oh, and back to that one point, I had the first country to offer free school lunch was
thanks, Lee.
Finland.
Appreciate that. What was that, Jim?
Finland was the first country to offer free school lunch for all students. Just a little
Really?
fact. Yeah. Yep.
I'll throw a fact in there, here and there. It doesn't hurt anything. All the research that I read through, basically, the information I went through real quickly was, a lot of it was California and East Coast, because I wanted to see if there was a difference even in the price of school lunch, maybe that being a reason. And out in California, the prices of school lunch, like everything else, are more expensive than that of here on the East Coast. So cost, taste, portion size, menu options, they all suck, and kids want good, sloppy, greasy food. And really, eh, you can't have a kid on, in my opinion, you shouldn't have a kid on that sort of a diet, calorie counting from the age of
No.
5. To me, it doesn't make sense. Feed the kids, let them go to school, they get educated, and they can educate themselves when they get to that age of high school if they want to be a vegan, and then they can decide for themselves at that point.
Yeah. Just give them something. Offer them something healthy. That's all.
Yeah, but you can't give them healthy if it doesn't taste good. They're not going to order it. That's my argument. I
Yeah.
worked at the cafeterias sometimes, and you know how much food I saw hit the garbage after lunch was over?
I bet.
All of it.
Hmm.
They'd order the piece of pizza, and 3 bites were taken, and the rest was thrown in the garbage. Or they wouldn't even drink their milk. They
Hmm.
would throw the apple out. I saw so much food go in the garbages that I was just like, why are you even bothering with school lunch? And I'd ask a couple of kids here and there, "Why are you throwing your lunch out?" "Oh, it tastes like crap," and then they walk away.
Hmm.
And there you go. That's your healthy option. You can't feed healthy in school. Kids aren't going to buy it. I don't know if anybody
Well,
else has an opinion on that.
you
Monica
have to
usually
though.
has really good information, but for me, if I'm a kid at school, I saw it when I went to school there. I liked the school lunch. I worked there, and it was totally different throughout the years, and there was nothing to it.
Hmm.
You get whole wheat roll, you get a chicken patty that's healthy and it tastes different. It just tastes different. Sorry, and low fat mayo. It's just, none of it tastes good together. Monica is going to come up and share. Monica,
I
welcome, welcome,
disagree.
welcome.
I think the kids do like it.
Well, what do you think,
Hey,
Monica?
sweetie.
Hi.
Um, you know, I, My perspective is different, Frankie, and I think it's probably because of what I do as a private detective and prior law enforcement. Because there's so many kids that aren't fed at home,
Hmm.
I find it different. I find that a lot of the kids really do have
Like it.
their meals at school. So whether it's bad or not, they're going to eat it because if you have a
Hmm.
choice of eating or not eating, whether it's yucky or not, if you're not getting the required daily nutrients from full balanced meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a lot of kids based on study and data, that's the case.
Yep.
So,
Four
I hear
four
what you're
kids on
saying.
average.
Yeah, exactly. So I
Yep.
know for me, with a lot of the athletes that I work with when we do the football camps or in the basketball camps during the off season, and I get a chance to talk to these kids, and that is one of the primary things that we have to focus on when we have the camps. It's not just the training, the athletic training, the meals. Because a lot
Hmm.
of them have shared that they don't get a chance to have, real nutritious meals at home. So I know if I was a
Well,
kid, I wouldn't give a damn what it was. Is if I can eat,
Hmm.
I'm gonna eat. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So I get what you're
yeah,
saying, Frankie, but it really is
yeah.
more about they're not as picky as I think people think they are.
I
Well,
don't.
I
I think
guess
so too. I don't think they're picky at all. I think if you offer
Yeah,
them something, they're going to eat it.
yeah, but then
absolutely.
there
Yep.
again, at least I can only speak from experience at the school district I attended and worked at. Um, there are a lot of kids that actually qualify for the free breakfast too. So there was a pile of kids that would come in the mornings, get served breakfast cereal or whatever, and
Right.
then they get the lunch too. But then there was those privileged kids that every school has. They have more money at home. Parents have better income, whatever. They wouldn't sit and eat breakfast because they had breakfast at home that day. So I think a lot of
Exactly.
the problem is they offer enough school lunch for the entire school. 70% of the kids aren't eating it, at least in certain areas. So it depends on families' incomes, really, if they're eating at all at home to the point where they get hungry enough to eat something that even tastes like crap. That's just my
Yeah.
opinion,
Yeah.
you know.
It's
And,
gotten
and I've
better
been
though,
hungry
Frankie.
as an older man
I don't
too,
know when, yeah, when the last time that you actually, I mean, I tend to go to a lot of the schools because I speak a lot, but the meals have
Mhm.
actually gotten better. They really have because everybody is so conscientious about it. I mean, people are really aware of it. And because, like I said, the studies have shown that when the government did all these surveys and they found out that a lot of these kids weren't eating at home, they wanted to make the meals more balanced. I mean, even at a completely different subject, but the same thing with the prison system. And Lord, I don't never want to go to jail, but the food in prison, the food in prison has even gotten better because
Yeah,
they
no,
have
it has.
realized that. Yeah, even though you're incarcerated, you still should be eating a nutritious, balanced meal. Period.
I mean,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
you'll even hear people that say, "I go back to jail just so I can eat."
Well,
very
yeah,
true. Very true.
Yeah.
that's part of the recidivism rate. Is a lot of them during the cold times or the really hot times of the year, they want to get out of the elements, so they'll actually go to jail. But yeah, no, it definitely. For me, I worked for the school district that I attended as a kid, as an adult. So I, within the last couple of years, did try the school lunches and eat them, and they were, to me, they were all horrible. They didn't taste good. They weren't the same as they were 30 years ago, not at all. So the standards have changed. You can tell they went to the
Yeah.
healthy route of
Yeah.
everything. And you are right. If kids are hungry, they're going to eat.
Hmm.
Any chicken
Yep.
patty versus no chicken patty, that is, wow, that is, I'm eating that. That is there for me. I can eat it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hey, and there are kids that'll eat anything because they're just the fat kids. They eat everything at home, then they go to school and eat everything there. So I was just more the whole conversation is even when kids want to eat school lunch, why can't they just make it good? Offer those couple options that aren't all health based, or at least
Yeah.
one component that's going to draw them to want to eat it, even if they don't normally want school lunch. Let's have every kid want it and see how that changes dynamics. income.
But see, you know what, Frankie? The problem with that, I mean, I agree with you, but the problem is because there is not equality across the board when it comes down to education and curriculum. So when you're in
Yeah,
neighborhoods where you've got high net worth earning individuals, I mean, the meals that those kids have are unbelievable. But when you go to a lower income area, it's completely different. And it has everything to do with the economy and demographics. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's not fair. But
no, I don't
if the
disagree with you there.
if the educational system was just across the board equal, I'm telling you, it will be a completely different environment because I've seen it where you go to the private schools or the charter schools or schools that are located in your higher net worth earning areas. My goodness, the choices. Are you kidding me? I mean, I went to this one school. I spoke at this
It's
one
like
school here
Gilmore
in
Girls.
Atlanta. Oh my God, I'm telling you, I went to this one school that I spoke at, and I was floored at the choices. I mean, the food was fabulous. They had vegan options and vegetarian options and nutritious, delicious food. I mean, I was like, whoa. And then when I go to schools that are in lower income areas, it's just like what you said, pizza that looked like it's 100 years old, chicken patties that look like the chicken was nowhere in the picture. So it's completely different.
Yeah,
It's completely different. So we got to
it
do a
is.
better job in regards to legislation to make sure our councilmen and congress people that they're fighting for equality in education across the board. That's going to change everything, but that's a whole nother
Our,
show.
our education won't change.
Yeah,
they,
no,
I
it
don't
is
know
a whole
why it
other
won't,
show.
but there needs to be some serious change.
Oh,
Well,
for sure.
yeah, because even look, they make movies about this, like Dangerous Minds, right? You get these like stuck up teachers that are used to working in these higher end school districts, and they want to go into the lower income areas and work in those schools, and they're just mortified at everything. Not even just they don't even
Hmm.
make it to the cafeteria, and they're mortified at the lack of whatever. So if you
Yep.
get a more balanced school system regulated whatever, and
Hmm.
eh, you know teachers incomes are the same no matter what schools they work in based on experience, you're going to get better quality because you're going to have these teachers come in and say no, and they'll join in the fight to get better foods and better balance on every level. It's all about, like
Right.
you said, it's all about the areas, and it's sad that's the way it works. And you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
ki-
My wife has always taught in the inner city, and I would always ask her. I'd say, why don't you want to go teach into the suburbs where the kids, more of them will learn from what you're saying and amount to something, and you can be proud of that. And she looked at me and she said, I will never leave the inner city schools because those kids need you. They need me,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
they look up
Yep.
to me more.
Yep.
They respect you
yep.
more.
Yeah.
She said, I would never go, and I understand that, and
Yeah,
half these kids
I
don't
applaud
eat
her
a
for
meal.
that. Yeah, I
Yep.
do because I know for me, I can tell you two teachers that made all of the difference in my life. One of them, she's passed, Claudia Parks, and Mrs. Folks. Both of my teachers were amazing, and they saw something different and special in me and encouraged me in such a way that it helped me to really flourish. So I agree with you. I think teachers are amazing, and it makes me angry that they are the lowest paid area of workers in the country, and they're the most impactful. Because I'm telling you, my two teachers, Claudia Parks and Miss Folks, changed my life. Changed my life.
A lot of these teachers are with the kids longer than the parents are.
Well,
Oh
and school
yeah,
bus drivers too. Think of the people that get the kids to school. I
yeah,
was a
that's
school
true
bus
too.
driver
Mhm.
too, and there are kids that hate bus drivers enough that they won't go to school. They'll skip the bus and go hang out with their friends all day because it's far enough of a walk to school that they're not going to walk there. So the bus it starts with the bus drivers. I'm not kidding. I've seen it. They had certain drivers that would do certain routes because the kids responded to that driver better than the other drivers. They always put me into the bad neighborhoods, and I had the most fun because they all those kids love me. Tattooed, crazy dude, driving their bus. I was Mr. Jeff. and
Yeah.
those neighborhoods all knew me as Mr. Jeff. It's how it is. You send in Miss
Yeah.
Ruth, who drives a different route, a different end of town, and you put her in that neighborhood for a substitute driver that day. She's hitting the bar after work, guaranteed. She's hitting the bar, and I've seen it. I've seen it, and I'm like, what's the problem? That neighborhood's easy, but
Well, these days, everything is so crazy, honey. Everybody, they get a chance to hit a bar, they're hitting a bar. So,
yeah, something always happens, right? That's the excuse, like, well, I was sober for 8 years, and then something happened. Something
yeah,
happened.
yeah,
Yeah, shit
yeah.
happens. But did you know also that in the last 20 years, portion size in school lunch has tripled?
No, it has not.
Yeah, it has.
No.
Yeah.
That's what the studies say. Portion
Yeah.
size in school lunch has tripled.
No
I don't
way.
remember
Yeah.
what we used to get, but
Well, then my school lunch ladies love my ass because my foam tray was bending in half. I had to hold it underneath. Nowadays, you have to hold it with both hands so it doesn't fly away. Just for me. I mean, at least in my school district, portions didn't triple. I mean, what were you getting? Hors d'oeuvre? Like hors d'oeuvre size food?
But you know what, too, Frankie and Todd, a lot of it has to do with, you know, geographical location as well. I went to
Yeah.
school. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, so I was from north. And but we lived in a really, not that it makes any difference, but a really upper class neighborhood. So the school was it was a public school, but it was predominantly white. And the curriculum was so high that most of us were able to graduate a year early from high school because we were ahead of all the other schools in our county. And the food was fabulous. Oh my God, the food was so good. But I think it had everything to do with that area because when I used to talk to my other high school friends at other high schools, oh my God, they used to just trash the food, but our food was fabulous. But but again, that's that
Money talks.
inequality. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's that inequality.
Yeah.
So
It does play a factor in there, but it is a great argument, one that could go on for days. But it looks like we're almost out of time. Monica, thanks so much for coming up. You were definitely the voice of reason during this conversation because him
Yeah,
and I
thank you.
could have gotten into fisticuffs. Believe me, my buddy, great friend, but him and I can get in some debates where I just want to break his body in pieces. But anyways, just wanted to let everybody know my website is all current now. It's on the fortune cookie ticker, FrankieJExperience.com. Any show ideas or anybody wants to be a guest on the show for any reason, just send an email, info@FrankieJExperience.com. We're going to get T.O. set up on my webpage with his own little link. And stay tuned on the 28th of this month, Tuesday at 12 noon Eastern. We are going to have a future potential NHL hockey star coming on as a guest to tell us about the new league he's in, and he's one league away from the AAA league, which is right below NHL. So he's working his way up through the ranks. Really smart kid, brilliant, and great hockey player. So humbled and honored to have him on. And we'll be back next week at 12 noon Eastern with another great topic and another great panel. Monica, thanks again. Lee, thanks for being here. Thanks to everybody outside the studio for attending and everyone's support.